The transition to Korea. In November 1972, the brigade's colors were transferred to the Republic of Korea and put under the custodianship of the U.S. Army Strategic Communications Command. The brigade was re-established by issuing General Order No. 56, Headquarters, USA STRATCOM, dated January 29, 1973. Its mission in Korea was to provide communication support to the United Nations Command, U.S. Forces Korea, and the 8th U.S. Army. Along with its new mission, the brigade was also tasked to plan, establish, engineer, install, operate, and maintain the defense communication system to include communication facilities, satellite communications, and the military affiliate radio system MARS. Colonel Walton K. Richardson, commander of USA STRATCOM, accepted the colors and became the first commander of the 1st Signal Brigade in Korea. Under the leadership of Colonel Walton K. Richardson, from November 1972 to January 1973, along with Command Sergeant Major Bobby G. Rottenberry, the brigade began to transform. In January 1973, Colonel James M. Rockwell took over the command and continued with the endeavor as the brigade began to move forward with the planning, engineering, installing, and operating defense communication system. In July 1973, Colonel Jack M. Hancock took command of the brigade and continued to strive forward with the Defense Communication System, DCS, operations, along with transforming the brigade with a major organizational change to include adding the 284th Aviation Unit to the brigade with its primary mission as air traffic control. In July 1974, 41st Signal Battalion was activated with its headquarters in Seoul. Within the same year, 36th Signal Battalion was activated with its headquarters in Daegu. Between December 1974 and July 1976, Colonel Val O. Lang, who later became a lieutenant general, added 2 tactical signal battalions to the brigade. The 4th Signal Group was reorganized to the 304th and the 307th Tactical Signal Battalions. They were reassigned from the 8th U.S. Army to the 1st Signal Brigade. In the same period, another major unit joined the brigade was the 257th Signal Company. Under the leadership of Colonel James L. Young and Command Sergeant Major Robert E. Sova in 1977, 284th Air Traffic Control Company was redesignated as a U.S. Army Air Traffic Control Battalion, Korea. Meanwhile, the 304th Signal Battalion and the 307th Signal Battalion were combined and designated as 304th Signal Battalion. During that same year, the brigade became a major subordinate command in the Western Pacific, where Colonel Young reported directly to the commander of the U.S. Army Communications Command. During the first half of the decade, 1st Signal Brigade continued to strive through its leadership. Between June 1978 and June 1980, Colonel William R. Crawford and Command Sergeant Major William Plotz. And from June 1980 to June 1982, Colonel Donald Griggs and Command Sergeant Major Raymond R. Polks. The brigade improved the foundation of the defense communication system while working to enhance the capability of the newly fielded automated communication system known as Automated Multimedia Exchange, AMI. Between June 1982 to June 1984, Colonel Peter Kind, who later became a lieutenant general, and Command Sergeant Major Jimmy G. Ergood activated the 229th Signal Company, TACSAT, to provide connectivity with the worldwide satellite network.
Well, our mission was to provide support not just to U.S. Army forces, but to all U.S. forces in Korea and to the ROK Army, the Republic of Korea Army. We supported General Sennewald in his several hats, to include one with the United Nations Command, so we provided communications all the way up to and inside the DMZ, Demilitarized Zone. We also supported other U.S. activities in Korea.
The brigade established the Information Mission Area, IMA, with 5 disciplines: telecommunications, automation, audiovisual support, records management, and printing publication.
President Reagan came to visit and was going up into the DMZ, and they wanted good communications to him there. Now, that was a real problem because we didn't have good comms up to the DMZ. They ran WD1 a field wire, one voice circuit up to that when ever they had something going on up there. And WD1 is good stuff, but it's not the kind of thing that you want to have the President of the United States talking over, or the people that have to support him. And so then the question became, how do you get comms in there? And how do you do it without spending special funds for it? Well, the good news is that we had a project in to put some cable in there. It just hadn't been funded and it was back down the priority list. I readjusted the priorities and took some funds from another project to do that, put the system in, and then left it there afterwards. So it wasn't just the President that we supported, but we had now communications to their people up there on the daily basis, and needed the same security that they didn't have before by way of communications.
It implemented a three-phase fiber optics project to provide a state-of-the-art, high-capacity, highly reliable digital transmission system from Camp Red Cloud in the north to Busan in the south.
When it came time for my change of command, we did a ceremony that I'd first learned in the 1st Cavalry Division, and this is what we call the silent ceremony. Instead of spoken commands, all commands were given by a set of the Signal Corps cross flags or signaling flags that had most recently been used still in World War II.
Prior to the command team changing out, USACC was reorganized into the U.S. Army Information Systems Command. Between June 1984 and May 1986, Colonel Richard J. Malian and Command Sergeant Major Andrew H. Riggins proposed an implementation plan that was approved by the Chief of Staff in May 1985. This included 25 microwave and cable links and 65 sites and facilities. The 1st Signal Brigade initiated a dynamic program to improve this system by installing new equipment. Between May 1986 and May 1988, Colonel Ramey Brandon and Command Sergeant Major Samuel P. Thompson transformed the brigade with a major initiative of connecting the entire communications infrastructure with fiber optic cable installation through the three-phase approach. Phase 1, Camp Red Cloud to Pyeongtaek. Phase 2, Pyeongtaek to Daegu. And Phase 3, Daegu to Busan. Additionally, workstations for the Theater Automated Command and Control System Korea, previously referred as TACSIMS, now known as Global Command and Control System Korea. In July 1987, the Assistant Chief of Staff was integrated, resulting in the brigade commander wearing 4 hats as the 1st Signal Brigade Commander and Assistant Chief of Staff J6, Deputy C6, and Assistant Chief of Staff IM, 8th Army. Effective 12 May 1987, the 307th Signal Battalion was activated with the fielding of Alpha Company and a provisional HHD Company. On 16 March 1988, HHD was constituted and Delta Company, 304th Signal Battalion, was converted to Charlie Company. Between May 1988 and May 1990, Colonel Tommy Berggren, along with Command Sergeant Major Israel Butler, equipped 307th Signal Battalion with the Bravo Company. While at Camp Carroll, the brigade began upgrading of capabilities of the Defense Satellite Communication System and the Automatic Digital Network, Enhancement and Expansion Program.
I was the first command-sponsored person in the 304th Signal Battalion. When I first showed up, I was made the S3 of the 304th. A week later, we went to the field. When I first came into the Army, they had told me that as I was going through OBC that, this is an MTC1 switchboard, which was a 3-person manual switchboard. We're only showing you this because, we're phasing these out. And you'll probably never see these as you go through your Army career. As time went on, I went to Germany and replaced the MTC1s with other equipment. And when I came back, I went to the United States, and again, we replaced the MTC1s with other equipment. When I showed up to Korea in 1989, we still had MTC1 switchboards. And the 304th Signal Battalion used to provide communications to the commander at Tango Bunker. And so we used to back our equipment into the tunnel to include the switchboards, and we would have back-to-back switchboards inside of the tunnel, and we would be providing communications from 1989 to 1991 via these MTC-1 manual switchboards, which of course meant that you had TA-312s at the end of them. So in 1991, we would provide for a major 4-star headquarters TA-312 crank telephones, and the connectivity was through an MTC-1 switchboard. We spent a considerable amount of time in the field at the time. I would say that we spent the better part of 7 to 8 months a year in the field. As we would train up for each exercise, there was always the start off with the company train up, then move to the battalion train up, brigade exercises, and then of course the major exercise. And at that time, we were definitely first in and last out.